It's week 10 of the 2020 college football season, which means the Pac-12 and Mid-American conferences will finally play their first games of the season, while UTSA and Texas State are both about to play for the ninth time. More importantly, though, week 10 means we're finally getting two of the most important games of the entire season. Number 1, Clemson, and number 4, Notre Dame, and number 5, Georgia versus number 8, Florida. There has been at least one loss by a team in the AP Top 8 in each of the past 6 weeks, and we're guaranteed to have at least 2 such results this week. We may even get 3, because number 7, Texas A&M at South Carolina is no sure thing. However, don't bank on Rutgers upsetting number 3, Ohio State. Beyond those top 10 slugfests, there is a full slate of action for the first time. 59 games, COVID-19 cancellations permitting, is quite the step up from last week's batch of 43. But at least we've all had plenty of time to limber up for the first Hawaii home game and the first hashtag Pac-12 After Dark action of the year. Hello, friends, and welcome to this very exciting and loaded Week 10 edition of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by good old MF Michael Fletcher. We are awaiting the presence of Michael Bullock. If he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we will have him tomorrow night for our huge, another loaded show, which will be our big Cerebral Smack Talk show at this time tomorrow night. But huge slate. This, I can honestly say, it's our most exciting and loaded docket of the week of our season so far. I mean, so many exciting games. I mean, we got a triple main event this week. But then again, not only a triple main event, but we also have some other exciting games to get into as well. Some exciting sleeper games as well. So there's really not much more to say. Let's just dive right on in. And this week is so loaded. We have not one, but 2 Friday night games. And one of those Friday night games is a part of our big triple main event. So here we go. Exciting games, to say the very least. And we're going to start it off with our first game of the week, which will take place tomorrow night at 7:30 over on ESPN. And it will feature the number 11 Miami Hurricanes, the U. And they're going to be squaring off against the Wolfpack of North Carolina State from Carter Finley Stadium at NC State. So, and on the call for that one, it will be hold on here. Okay. It will be Jason Benetti with Andre Ware and Marty Smith, and the U opening up as a 10-point favorite. So with all that, let's kick off this exciting and loaded week with the U squaring off against NC State. 2 weeks ago, this would have felt like more of a threat for an upset, but after NC State lost starting quarterback Devin Leary to a broken leg, the Wolfpack immediately got smashed by North Carolina. In both of its losses, NC State allowed at least 300 rushing yards and at least 45 points. Miami is certainly capable of hitting those marks. I have Miami winning this one comfortably. I'm going to say 45-24. Miami knocks off NC State tomorrow night. So nothing more to say. Good old MF Michael Fletcher, come on in. The U, number 11, on the road at NC State. We took off a very exciting and loaded edition of College Football Thursday.
Yes, indeed. And I'm with you on that as well. A couple of weeks ago, you definitely would have said that maybe Miami would be on upset alert. You would think, oh my God, this could be trouble. But now here we are. And I honestly believe that this could go either way. So yes, you're absolutely right, Anthony. At the end of the day, I got to say it. I truly believe that it will go Miami's way. I think they're going to win this game. And I don't think there's anything more to say up to this point. So yes, I'm with you on this one. I believe it is gonna be. I think it's gonna be Miami winning it, with no problems whatsoever. So, Anthony, it's completely yours. It's all up to you.
Are you ready for the first part of our big triple main event, MF?
Yeah, let's do it.
Tomorrow night, a special kickoff time of 9:45, a 9:45 kickoff. This is very rare. And this game will be over on FS1, the first of our three big main event games. And this is one that MF and I have been talking about for the last couple of weeks or so. And guess what? It's finally going to happen tomorrow night. The number 9 BYU Cougars squaring off against the number 21 Boise State Broncos from Albertson Stadium in Boise, Idaho. You know what that means. Smurf turf. Yep, we're going to the Smurf turf for this one. And over on FS1, and on the call for that one, it will be Aaron Goldsmith with Petros Papadakis. They're going to be on the call for that one. And BYU opening up as a 3-point favorite. MF, over the last week or so, we've been heavily promoting this game. Here you go, man. Sleeper game of the year right here. BYU and Boise on the Smurf turf. Let's go.
This is going to be a very interesting matchup because of the fact is that we know what BYU's brought to the table up to this point. They've been dominating everybody left and right. They've been playing great and everything else. Now they got the ultimate test. They're going up against our old darling, the original underdog team. We all know them. We love them, except for D.D. Woodson. Boise State Broncos. And we love the Smurf turf. We love the blue turf in Boise. It's always fun to be there, to see that game and everything else. But this is a different year. BYU, I think, is the better team this year. I think they have shown that they're not afraid of the moment. And this is, without a doubt, the moment for them. If they beat Boise, if they knock them off, which I think they're going to do it. I honestly think it's going to be a high-scoring affair, but I actually got BYU knocking off Boise in the Smurf turf tomorrow night. And I believe that if they do it, they will open the eyes not only of college football, but we're going to have to make them a lot more legit. They will become a bigger threat, they're really, really, really going to become a major player in the New Year's Six conversation. So I got BYU knocking off Boise 41-35 in what is going to be an unbelievable game, back and forth. This is probably going to come down to the last possession, but BYU will overcome and they will stun Boise in Boise and go one step closer to possible New Year's Six. So that's my prediction. Anthony, I got BYU stunning Boise tomorrow. And would I be shocked if Boise wins? No. But I think this is the year BYU finally figures out Boise and they take them out in the Smurf turf.
Agreed. We almost have an exact same final score, almost. But I'll get to that in a moment. In 5 previous tries, BYU has never won a road game against Boise State. But this BYU team is a whole lot better than its predecessors. And Boise State's quarterback situation is a big unknown after starter Hank Bachmeier missed last week's game against Air Force for an undisclosed reason. In that game, the Broncos allowed Air Force to rush for more than 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, which is a sizable red flag in advance of this matchup with one of the most potent offenses in the nation. Boise State will be able to do more against BYU's defense than any other team has this season, but the Broncos probably won't be able to get many stops. Should be an excellent, high-scoring Friday night battle. I have BYU winning as well, just a smidgen higher than what MF has. I have BYU winning 41-38. Yeah, 41-38. But it's gonna be BYU, and just like MF. I mean, would I be surprised if Boise won? Absolutely not, because we know how very tough it is to win on that Smurf turf. Very tough. But if any team can do it, I think this BYU team most certainly can do it. So that's all there is to say on that. So looking forward to that one without a doubt. So, alrighty. Back to now we move on to the Saturday slate. And okay, I'm just waiting. Okay. We have, let me see, how many do we have here? We have 5 high noon games. And we started off with a game that I'm already going to consider the number 4 game of the week, considering it's a ranked matchup here. High noon, and this will be over on FS1. How about this? The number 13, you heard me right, the number 13 Indiana Hoosiers, and they will be back at home at their Memorial Stadium in Bloomington, Indiana. And they're going to be hosting the number 23 Michigan Wolverines. FS1 is where you can find this one. And on the call for that one, as soon as I can get it here. Okay. Yes. Joe Davis and Brock Heward. That's Joe Davis and Brock Heward. They're going to have it. And Michigan actually opening up as a 3-point favorite, which is, I got to say, a little surprising if I'm going to be honest. But anyways, let's get into this one. Now, I love a good underdog story. You know me. But I'm still not convinced Indiana is a true contender. But I will say this much for the Hoosiers. They capitalize on opportunities handed to them. They have scored 27 points off 6 forced turnovers. Plus, they got that late game-tying touchdown against Penn State after the Nittany Lions made the mistake of scoring and giving them the ball back. Michigan has not committed a turnover yet this season, though. And that should be the difference in this game. Without multiple huge swings and momentum in Indiana's favor, the Wolverines should eventually wear down the Hoosiers for what would be a 25th consecutive victory in this series. Now, out of all the games on this, I got to be honest, this is the toughest one to call for me. I mean, I don't know why, but my gut is telling me to go with Indiana for some odd reason. But my heart is telling me to go with Michigan. But considering how god-awful, sorry I'm saying this, MF, but I got to be brutally honest here. After how god-awful Michigan looked at home against Michigan State, and considering that this Indiana team might be for real, even though I'm still a little iffy about it, I got to do it. I'm going to take a chance here, and I am actually going to go with Indiana to pull it out. 35-27, Indiana beats Michigan for the first time in 25 tries. So that's all there is to say on that. I mean, would I be surprised if Michigan won? No, I would not. Absolutely not. I would not. But if this was in the big house, Michigan all day. But at Indiana, and considering how Michigan looked last week, I'm sorry. I got to go with Indiana. I'm not convinced. So there's nothing more to say. So, MF, Indiana win. Hey, go ahead and change my mind.
Yeah, you know, Indiana is definitely out there. You can definitely tell. The thing is with Michigan State, okay, you could think about this in two possible ways. One, either Michigan laid down and just didn't want to, like, they made a big mistake, overestimated Michigan State because of what happened to Michigan State after they routed after they got routed by Rutgers. Maybe that's why. And everybody was thinking, oh man, this is an easy, forget it. They're going to do it. Remember, Michigan State and Michigan, that's bad blood. And Michigan didn't play their best game, and Michigan State won. So, credit to Michigan State on that. Credit them for winning that game. So, yeah, now you got them going up against Indiana, and you never really know how this plays out. But I'm going to go with you, Florio. I'm going to say Indiana as well. I think Indiana is going to win the game. So, nothing more to say. It's yours.
Wow. I'm very surprised to hear that. I mean, I thought for sure you were going to go with your guys in that.
Well, the thing is that I don't know what to expect with Michigan, because what type of team are we going to get? And then we're on the road in Indiana. I mean, I'm not.
Indiana's for real.
I'm not convinced right now. I hope I see a different focus on Michigan. I hope that was just a one-night mirage. Hopefully that was just a bad case of juju because it was Michigan State. But I'm going to tell you right now, the way that went down, Harbaugh's on the hot seat in my mind. I am not happy with the way he coached that game last week. I'm not happy with the way that went down. He better shape up, because this is a must-win. No more playing games, man. This is it. The reason why we brought you to Michigan is to win Big Ten championships, beat Ohio State, beat Penn State, beat Michigan State. Those are the reasons why we got you. You got the job. So there's no excuses for what happened last week.
Absolutely not.
This is those type of games we need to win. So
exactly,
it's yours.
Exactly. So, yeah, I couldn't have said it. I mean, that right there, that's a passionate Michigan fan right there, folks. So, that's all there is to say on that. And I'm hopeful they'll turn it around for you. I really do. So, but anyways, let's move on to our next matchup here. And we're going to move on to the number 18 SMU Mustangs. And they're going to be going on the road to Philadelphia to battle the Temple Owls at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. You can find this game over on the ESPN Plus. And on the call for that one, it'll be here. Now, here's an announced team I've never called before. Dave Leno and Ken Dunek. Okay. Never heard of those guys, but all right. SMU opening up as an 18-point favorite. MF, I don't think we have any doubts about this one, though. SMU, even though it's in Philly, SMU is just too damn good.
Yeah, agreed. SMU is too damn good. You're pretty much correct on that too. So yeah, SMU wins. Nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be SMU. There's no ifs, ands, or buts on this one. And I mean, 18-point favorite. I mean, that's a big spread. And Temple has allowed at least 31 points in each of its 4 games. That includes a 39-37 contest against South Florida, which has one of the worst offenses in the nation. It also includes the 38-3 beatdown loss last week to Tulane. Oof. Now the Owls have the unenviable task of trying to slow down an SMU offense that is, listen to this, averaging 562 yards and 44 points a game against opponents not named Cincinnati. We wish them the best of luck in that endeavor. So SMU winning this one as well. My final score, 45-28. SMU knocks off Temple. So nothing more to say there. Let's move on. And are you ready for the return of the Pac-12? We have our first Pac-12 matchup of the week. That's in our docket. The number 20 USC Trojans at home, opening up at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. You know how much I love that venue. And they're going to be opening up against the Arizona State Sun Devils on Fox. Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt, and Jenny Taft will be there. However, the big noon kickoff crew for Fox will not be there because of COVID-19 protocol. The NFL crew is going to take their place for this week, just to let you know. And USC opening up as a 10.5 point favorite. So there's nothing more to say. When Pac-12 teams were first allowed back on the AP ballots in late September, USC debuted in 29th place. In the 5 polls since then, the Trojans have steadily inched their way up to number 20. And with help from the Big 12 self-destruction, will now open their season with tangible college football playoff aspirations. They must run the table, though. And that dream could go up in smoke right away against an Arizona State team that went 3-1 against ranked foes last year. Keaton Slovis should be able to outduel Jaden Daniels, but don't be surprised if things get weird for this 9 a.m. Pacific time kickoff. Yes, a Saturday morning game. You're going to be having breakfast with this game down there in the West Coast there. But nonetheless, I'm going to go with USC to win this game. My final score, 31-27. And one of the great things about this year is, as a Notre Dame fan, I don't even have to worry about these guys. So I don't have to rip on them this year, at least for this year. But I'm sure next year the bad blood will be back. But I'm going to show some love for SC. I think they'll get it done barely. They'll beat Arizona State 31-27. So nothing more to say. MF, welcome back, Pac-12. And what a way to start it off with Arizona State and USC in the legendary Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. And you know how much I love that venue. So, MF, your thoughts? MF, are you there? All right. Not sure where MF is. He probably had to step away for a minute, but as soon as he comes in, we'll get his thoughts. So, but you know, it was highly doubtful that we were going to see the Pac-12. I mean, we thought that, because of the whole COVID thing, that it was very doubtful that we were going to see the Pac-12 and even the Big Ten, but somehow, some way, they managed to work out some deals, and they're back. And it's only a 7-game schedule for the Pac-12 this year, so they'll only be playing for about a month and a half or so, and then we'll get to the Pac-12 championship in sometime next month. So, but nonetheless, great way to start it off. I mean, a 9 a.m. kickoff—that's very, very rare, and it's gonna be a lot of fun to see the Coliseum, even though it's not going to be packed full of the estimated 100,000 plus that they get. All right, we're waiting. All right, I'm at the back in. So
that's so weird too, because if you're talking about a 9 a.m. kickoff
Pacific Coast time.
Yeah, I mean that is so weird. So it's a 12 o'clock kickoff for us on the East. But 9 a.m. I mean,
Good morning.
I think the only time we've ever remember that happening is when the NFL goes to London and they have that 9:30 kickoff, which is because it's like a 5-hour difference between us and them. They're 5 hours ahead of us. So I mean, think about that. So I mean, that's crazy. That's weird. But
certainly is.
Live in the times, and this is the time and the era of everything that's happened. So yeah, interesting. And to see USC.
Yep. Number 20.
Huh?
Number 20 USC opening up against Arizona State.
I gotta go with the Trojans. I gotta go with them. I think they're gonna USC was one of those teams last year that was eh, but I truly believe now that they definitely have a great shot at it. So yeah, to me, honestly, give me USC to win it, and yeah, this is gonna be interesting. So nothing more to say. Floyo's yours.
All right. Um, well, MF, I got some good news for you. Your Texas Longhorns are back in the AP top 25,
Well deserved.
and yes, indeed. And they'll be at home at Darrell K. Royal Memorial Stadium in Austin, Texas. They're going to be at home. They're number 22, the number 22 Texas Longhorns, and they're going to be hosting. Oh boy, someone who's given them fits over the last few years. West Virginia, the Mountaineers, and this will be over on ABC, high noon kickoff. And bear with me as I get my announcer sheet up and going here. But Texas back in the top 25. They come in at number 22, and they're going to be hosting the West Virginia Mountaineers. I mean, last time we saw West Virginia at Texas, it was 2 years ago, and we had an epic Gus Johnson squeal moment that we'll never forget. And we're not going to get in this game, unfortunately, but because it's going to be on ABC. So on the call for that one, it'll be Joe Tessitore with Greg McElroy and Holly Rowe, and Texas opening up 6.5-point favorite. So MF, we all know how high you are on Texas. I mean, they started out hot and then they got ice cold for a bit, but now they're back in the top 25. Not easy. West Virginia, you know the story, especially 2 years ago.
Yes. I know about West Virginia. We all know about West Virginia. Yeah, no, this is gonna be a dangerous game. If you're Texas, you gotta be on your P's and Q's, and you gotta know everything, X's and O's, and the whole 9 yards. No, West Virginia, they're a thorn. They're a thorn. So this is gonna be an interesting game. This is gonna be one that's gonna be down to the wire. High scoring as always. I hope Texas wins it, but I wouldn't be stunned if West Virginia nips them again. So always keep a closer eye on them. I got Texas winning. I think they finally figured it out. I think the team's dynamic is finally there. So I'm gonna go with Texas to win. But again, I would not be surprised if West Virginia gets them. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours. I got Texas winning, but be on upset alert, Texas. This is not an easy game.
Exactly. No, even though you're at home. I mean, if it was at West Virginia, then that would be a different story. But this one's in Austin. So, but anyways, in Morgantown, West Virginia has been a freight train. The Mountaineers are 4-0 at home, and they come into this game fresh off a 37-10 blowout of then-ranked Kansas State. This game is not in Morgantown, though. And the Mountaineers, 0-2 away from home. For whatever reason, their defense has not traveled well. And that's bad news for this road game against the Texas squad, averaging 44.3 points a game. Texas quarterback Sam Ehlinger has accounted for 4 touchdowns in each of his last 2 games against West Virginia. He extends that streak in a Longhorns victory. So I'm going to go with Texas to win. I think it'll be close for about 3 quarters or so, but then I think Texas will pull away in the fourth, I think. So Texas wins. I'm going to go 38-27. Texas gets by West Virginia this time around. It will not be that Gus Johnson squeal moment like we had 2 years ago, which we'll never forget. But anyways, I think we have one last high noon game here, I do believe. Yes, we do. And wow, I cannot believe I'm calling this team in the poll. I mean, we have another surprise entrant into our top 25 poll. And this is the sleeper game of the week right here. The number 25, and I'm not kidding you, the number 25, can you believe this? Liberty Flames. Yes, Liberty. They're number 25. But they have to go to Lane Stadium in Blacksburg, Virginia, to square off against the Virginia Tech Hokies. Oh, boy. And that's going to be over on the ACC network. And on the call for that one, to see number 25 Liberty square off against Virginia Tech at Lane Stadium in Blacksburg, high noon over on the ACC network. And that will be with Chris Cotter, Mark Herzl, and Taylor Davis. And Virginia Tech opening up, excuse me, they're opening up as a 14.5-point favorite. So there's nothing more to say about the schematics, but here we go. I don't know what the current record is, but this game may well set the all-time record for the largest gambling spread in which an AP Top 25 team is an underdog against an unranked team. Credit to Liberty for jumping out to a 6-0 start and making its first ever appearance in the AP poll, but it's hard to know what to make of the Flames when their 6 opponents have a combined win-loss record of 4-28. The offense, led by former Auburn quarterback Malik Willis, is pretty solid and should be able to put up some touchdowns against a shaky Virginia Tech defense. But let's be realistic. I expect the Hokies to run all over the Flames, likely scoring on at least 75% of their possessions. I think it'll be close in the first half, but then I think Virginia Tech will pull away in the second half. So I think Virginia Tech will win comfortably, considering they're at home. They'll beat this latest Cinderella story. 49-28, Virginia Tech knocks off Liberty. So MF, congratulations, Liberty. You're in the top 25. Your first time ever in the AP poll. Guess what your reward is? You got to go to Lane Stadium. Good luck.
Oof. And to play on the Hokies, oh man, not good. Not good. Yeah, it's gonna be a short-lived top 25 for them. I'm with you. Hokies are gonna dominate them. That's gonna be an easy blowout win. So yeah, Hokies win. Floyo, go.
Okay. And now we're going to move on to the late afternoon affairs. And we have one more game before we get to the next part of our triple main event. This will be a 2:30 kickoff over on, and this is another one that we're going to see over on ESPN Plus. The number 16 Thundering Herd of Marshall. And they are going to be squaring off against the UMass Minutemen. Yes, UMass, their local team here in New England. They're going to be heading up to Marshall to battle with the Thundering Herd. I don't know the name of Marshall Stadium, but it's in Marshall, and this is the spread of the week right here, folks. Marshall opening up. And I'm not kidding you. Marshall is opening up as a 44.5-point favorite.
Woo!
44.5.
Are you sure? Are you sure that's not like an Alabama or a Clemson? Because that's something that we normally get. But the Marshall Thundering Herd 44.5? What the hell? I mean, okay, I get it. I know everybody's all electioned out and everything else. Are you sure that's right? Are you sure the boys in Vegas didn't hit the tequila a little too hard on this?
Oh no. Nope. That's what it says on my that's what it says here on my game list here. 44.5 with and the over under is 55.5. That's the over under. This game will be over on ESPN Plus, and we will have Mark Martin and Jake Griffith on the call. Feel sorry for those guys. They're going to be in for a long afternoon because that's going to be one snoozer of a game if I'm being honest. But But MF, nonetheless, number 16 Marshall hosting UMass. The 44.5 point spread. Yes, that is correct, I'm afraid.
In the more words of you, I'm Moron. I mean, I'm marveling at that. 44 and a half. Wow. Um, Look, Marshall, the last time we ever talked about Marshall in any breath like this was the year that Byron Leftwich was actually the starting quarterback of that team. Like, that was the
Yep.
last time Marshall was ever relevant, was since Byron Leftwich was the QB of that team. So, I mean, I cannot believe that this is the team. But hey, that's a lot of props to Marshall. They are a really good team. If they got that type of love from the bookies and the boys up in Vegas, um, I'm gonna say it like this: this is a trap. And I'm not talking about a trap game saying that UMass has a shot to win. No, 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 no. I'm
No.
talking about for the bookies. I'm talking about the people who makes the bets, who puts money down on this. 44 and a half is a steep number. I don't know it. Like, this is something for my boy Pat McAfee. This is for my boy the Bear on College Game Day. They love this stuff. This is for them. This is their kind of game. 44 and a hook, as my boy SVP would say. I think that might be on winners. I don't know. I think I would take UMass with the points, because 44 and a half is such a steep number. Like, you must literally be a garbage team in order for that number to be that high. That's the only thing I'm afraid of. I don't think 44. I don't think they're gonna cover it. I think that's too steep of a number to cover. I don't think they're gonna cover that. So I'm gonna go with Marshall to win. But if I'm a betting man, I would take UMass in the points, because 44 and a hook. I don't think so. Sorry, Anthony. It's yours.
Marshall opened as a 44 point favorite. That is not nearly enough points. Massachusetts with a 41 loss to Georgia Southern. And while Marshall hasn't exactly been a juggernaut on offense, it did win a game 59-0 earlier this season. A repeat of that win over Eastern Kentucky would not be a surprise here. Marshall in the lock of the week, without a doubt, 56-3. That's what I'm going with. I'm going 56-3 in favor of Marshall. So we are Marshall. Yeah, that's what they're going to be saying to UMass. So there is no ifs, ands, or buts on that one. So 56-3, it's going to be Marshall all over UMass. And so there's really not much more to say on that, except we are now going to move on to the second third of our triple main event. The world's largest outdoor cocktail party. I'm sure it's going to have some COVID restrictions and whatnot, but at least we're still going to get this game, though. The number 2 game of the week right here. And especially with the big main event we have this week, I am so happy that we are going to have one hell of a number 2 game to be there with it. It's going to be the number 5 Maiden Georgia Bulldogs, and they're going to be squaring off against the number 8 Florida Gators. TIAA Field at Everbank Field in Jacksonville, the home of the Jaguars. And it's the SEC on CBS, oh, by the way. So, hello, what's this? Okay, now I know this is a college football show. I understand that and I get it, but I'm sorry. I just came across some major breaking news here, folks. This is a report now. The NBA Players Union agrees to a 72-game 2020-21 season starting on December 22nd. This just broke.
All right.
Excuse me. This just broke here. I just found it on the wire here. According to Yahoo Sports, credit to Ben Rohrbach. He's the one who broke this story. I just found it here on Yahoo Sports. NBA Players Association approved the league's plan for a 72-game season starting on December 22nd, ending prior to the Summer Olympics in mid-July, per The Athletic's Shams Charania. So, so there you go. 51-day span between the end of the NBA Finals, which ended on October 11th, Columbus Day weekend, and the start of training. And it's only going to be a 51-day stretch. And between that and the start of training camp, that is a lot less than the traditional off season. So, so there you go. Breaking news: NBA Players Union agrees to a 72-game season for next season, and it will start on Tuesday, December the 22nd. So, so MF, a quick thought on that, if you.
Well, I heard something about it. I know the NBA. I know the Players Association were looking more for January 18th. That was a lot more closer to the Martin Luther King Day. But for them to at least to come in and say, you know what, 72 games, we're cool with that because that's probably more money in their pockets and everything else. And from what I'm hearing is they want to try to have the fans back, but they might do it in a limited basis, like all the other things that's been happening in the world. Supposedly they want to put them in like luxury suites and have them spread out that way. So I mean that's a great idea, great game plan. So no, I'm happy that the NBA decided to do it this way. Now we wait to see the NHL. I know NHL was talking about maybe starting their season on January 1st. So that's kind of their blueprint, what they want to do, to start their season on January 1. But no, I'm happy that the NBA has decided that they want to go down this road, start their season on the 22nd. You know, if this would have been right now, if we were playing this under normal circumstances, we literally would have been in the first week of the NBA season. Normally the NBA tends to start normally late October, early November. So this would be right around the time where the season would have already tipped off. We would have been at least a week into the new season. So I'm happy with it. I think that's a great announcement. I know there was initially they were trying to do it for Christmas Day. We get it 3 days early. So quite a Christmas gift to get the season started this way. So no, I'm very happy. And I can't wait. I think we had, with everything that happened last season, with the season stopped because of the COVID thing. So no, I'm very happy that we're getting it now. Can't wait to play. And yeah, great news.
Amen.
Great news to get the NBA back so quickly.
Absolutely. I noticed it as I was getting. Now every MF, you and everybody out there in our world know that I do have a lot of slowness issues on my end, and as I was getting ready to get my my game sheet back up and running, that's where I came across that breaking news, and I had to share it. I couldn't wait to share that. So
great
by the
that
way,
you did.
Yeah, because that's definitely something that needed to be addressed, no doubt about it. The Marshall Stadium, by the way, is Edwards Stadium.
Ah,
I know it's. I know they play in West. I know they play somewhere. I know they're from West Virginia. I know that for sure. But but there you go. I think it's Charleston or Charlestown, West Virginia, or something like that. But anyways, with all that being said, now we're gonna move on to, like I said, the number 2 game of the week, and like I said, I know COVID's probably gonna there's probably gonna be a lot of COVID restrictions on it this time around, but still, it's still the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. It's still the number 5 Made in Georgia Bulldogs squaring off against the number 8 Florida Gators from TIAA Field in Jacksonville as part of the SEC on CBS. And you know who will be there: Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, the beautiful Jamie Erdahl. They will be there. And I mean, I very much do apologize here. We do have yeah, it's definitely very slow on my end, but I'm trying to at least get the spread there. I do believe Georgia is the favorite. I mean, I would not be surprised if Georgia was favored to win. So yeah, very might have to take some different measures here, but nonetheless, though, I mean, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. This is going to be a knockdown, drag out. I mean, it definitely has 5 stars written all over it. There's no question about it. And Georgia, yep, I got it. Georgia opening up as a 3.5 point favorite as they square off against Florida. So here we go, folks. The second part of our big triple main event on this very exciting edition of College Football Thursday. So with all that being said, here we go. Florida, Georgia, Jacksonville, world's largest outdoor cocktail party, and we all know how exciting this one's going to be. I mean, especially with the big main event coming up in a little bit. But like I said, got some major slowness issues here, but there is no question about it. This is going to be a 5-star Shakespearean drama classic. I mean, all right, here we go. All right, finally up and running here. So, oh, not so fast. Still got some bugs here. All right, here we go. In some ways, this feels like a rematch of that Georgia-Alabama game from a few weeks ago, as Florida has one of the best passing attacks in the country and a defense that is allowing or I should say around 30 points a game. But in 2 major ways, it'll be different. First, Georgia's defense will be without one of its best players, as Richard LeCounte was hospitalized after a traffic accident on Saturday night and is expected to miss several weeks. LeCounte had 13 tackles and 3 passes defended earlier in the day against Kentucky. Slowing down Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts will be even harder without him out there. The bigger difference, though, is that Florida is nowhere near the rushing threat that Alabama was. Georgia had to constantly worry about Najee Harris and Brian Robinson Jr. against the Crimson Tide. That won't be the case against the Gators. And even without LeCounte, that should put the Bulldogs in a better position to stifle Florida's offense. Whether Georgia's offense will be able to do enough with Stetson Bennett running the show is the gigantic unknown variable. Bennett was a fine game manager for Georgia's first 3 games, but he has 2 touchdowns and 5 interceptions over the past 2 contests. If that trend continues, Florida wins. If he can avoid those brutal mistakes against a more forgiving defense, though, Georgia wins. But at the end of the day, I'm going with the Made in Georgia Bulldogs to win this game. I got Georgia knocking off Florida in what I believe will be a 5-star Shakespearean drama game, no doubt about it. 30-27, Georgia knocks off Florida. So nothing more to say. MF, number 2 game of the week. Number 8, Florida. Number 5, Georgia in Jacksonville. World's largest outdoor cocktail party. Whew. Any other week, this would have been the main event, but not this week. That's how loaded it is. So MF, Florida, Georgia, second, third of our big triple main event.
And I gotta go with, and I gotta say Georgia wins as well. You're absolutely right. I was going at first. I was gonna say Florida, but this is such a close game. This is gonna be a tight fight down to the wire. I'm gonna say it. I think Georgia's gonna beat Florida, and I think they're gonna win the world's largest cocktail party. This is gonna be a good game, down to the wire, as you say, battle to the end. But I think Georgia's gonna prevail. I got the Bulldogs winning as well, Florio. Next matchup.
Okay. Okay, let me I'm gonna switch over to another way of means here on this. So we can get a move on here. But definitely it's definitely very exciting to say the very least. But all right, here we go. Florida, Georgia. Okay. We have another 3:30 kickoff here, and we will have the number 6 Cincinnati Bearcats, and they will be at home against the Houston Cougars, Nippert Stadium in Cincinnati, and this game will be over on ABC, and all right, and I believe Sean McDonough's crew is working this game, if I remember correctly. Yes, it will be Sean McDonough with Todd Blackledge, Todd McShay, and Molly McGrath. I don't have a spread for this one. I didn't see one in my list here, so maybe MF can provide that. But nonetheless, Houston squaring off against Cincinnati. So MF. Speaking of New Year's Six, I mean, Cincinnati, they're right there. They're number 6, and they're going to be squaring off against a 50-50 Houston team.
50-50 Houston team with Cincinnati as a 13.5-point favorite. I'm going to say Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati is going to win the game as well. You're absolutely right, Anthony. There's really nothing more for me to say here. I got Cincinnati winning. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, it's going to be Cincinnati. No doubt about that. Speaking of teams with an interesting case for the number 4 seed, Cincinnati has to be in that mix after back-to-back wins over SMU and Memphis by a combined score of 91-23. This Bearcats defense has been outstanding. The Desmond Ritter show on offense has been a thing of beauty too. Up next for the Group of Five's best case for a CFP bid is a Houston team that just allowed nearly 700 yards in a 44-21 loss to UCF. The Cougars also lost by 17 to BYU earlier this season. So Cincinnati might be trying to win by at least that much for resume comparison purposes. That shouldn't be a problem. 42-17. I got Cincy all over Houston. So there's really nothing more to say on that. So let's continue on here. We have one more 3:30 game for you, and it will feature the number 19 Oklahoma Sooners at home at Gaylord Stadium in Norman, and they're going to be hosting. Oh boy, they're going to be hosting the Kansas Jayhawks. Oh, that's not going to be fun for Kansas. That is. Anish Shroff, Tom Luganbill, and Chris Budden will have the call. And I got another big spread for you, MF. Oklahoma, 37.5-point favorites against Kansas. Hoofa. But nonetheless, Oklahoma has won 15 consecutive games against Kansas by at least a 14-point margin. This past weekend, Oklahoma scored 62 points on Texas Tech, while Kansas allowed 52 points to Iowa State. So, Oklahoma rolls. Another lock of the week. Oklahoma, Boomer Sooner all day, 59-13. Nothing more to say. MF, Boomer Sooners back after a slow start. MF, are you there? There you are.
Sorry about that. So which game is it?
It's Kansas and Oklahoma. Oklahoma.
Forget
Oklahoma.
it. Forget it.
Oklahoma's a 37.5-point favorite.
Yeah. Okay. Oklahoma. That's an easy one. Come on. Yeah. I mean, that I thought so. No. It's done. I'm not even gonna. You don't need me to say anything for this game. So
no,
just go through your schematics and let's move on.
Yeah. Except that except that our dear friends Didi and Kevin Whitson should have a field day with this one.
Absolutely.
So yep, and JR as well. So in Kansas, you're not a football school, you're a basketball school. Enough said. All right. We have a 4:00 kickoff next, and speaking of Oklahoma, it's Oklahoma's biggest rival, the now number 14 Oklahoma State Cowboys, and they're going to be squaring off against the Kansas State Wildcats. Bill Snyder Family Stadium in Manhattan, Kansas, and this one will be over on Fox, and I believe this one will be I think this is the Timmy Brando game. Yes, it is. Tim Brando, the legendary Tim Brando with Spencer Tillman. They will be in Manhattan, Kansas for this game. And Oklahoma State, according to my list here, Oklahoma State opening up as a 12-point favorite. MF, I mean, this would have easily cracked our top 5 games of the week, but Oklahoma State, they laid an egg, and Kansas both teams laid eggs.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State losing to Texas in OT, and Kansas State got embarrassed by West Virginia.
Yeah.
Who bounces back? Who bounces back, and this must bounce back in the Big 12.
Oof. I gotta go with OK State. I think because of the fact of what happened, they lost in overtime. They could have beaten Texas. They let that one get away. I think they'll bounce back. I think their loss was actually not as bad because Kansas State, they got romped by West Virginia. But then again, the Mountaineers at West Virginia, that's a hard place to play. So you kind of had a feeling, you kind of had an inkling that could have happened. But no, I'm going to go with Oklahoma State. I think they'll get the job done. I think they'll win the game. Nothing more to say. Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, I got to go with OK State as well. I mean, this game is nowhere near as attractive following losses by both teams last week. Oklahoma State losing in overtime to Texas, and Kansas embarrassing showing at West Virginia. I must say, though, I was still impressed by Oklahoma State in defeat. The Cowboys had terrible fumble luck and allowed a kickoff return for a touchdown, but their defense held Texas below 300 total yards, which no one had been able to do since 2017. That defense should take care of business against an anemic Kansas State offense. Oklahoma State wins. My final score, 31-14. So now we move on to the primetime games, and we move on to the Saturday night the SEC Saturday night game of the week over on ESPN, as it will be the number 7 Texas A&M Aggies, and they're going to be squaring off against the South Carolina Gamecocks, Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina. And this is normally where you would see Sean McDonough's crew, but they're not working this game. So it'll be Mark Jones with Dusty Dvoracek and Quint Kessenich. They will have that one. And Texas A&M opening up as a 10-point favorite. So MF, as I said in the intro, Texas A&M, I think they should be on upset alert because Williams-Brice, I mean, that can be a tough place to win sometimes.
And you know what? I absolutely am going to say it. Texas A&M, you are on upset alert because this definitely could be an upset, even though I think A&M will win, but I would not be stunned if an upset does happen. William Bray Stadium is always a dangerous place to play. The crowd, even though it's a limited crowd, it's not going to be as raucous or boisterous. But this is a tough place to play. A&M will win, but even barely, maybe a 3-point margin. But if they get upsetted, I would not be surprised. So you're absolutely right, Anthony. Upset alert is definitely on high, but I think A&M should have just enough to get by with the win. But again, I would not be shocked if we do get upset. So A&M wins, but like I said, barely. But like you said, upset alert is definitely activated in my mind.
Absolutely. With a loss to Alabama already on its ledger, there's no way Texas A&M will get a chance to play for the SEC championship. But the Aggies could go 9-1 to make a very interesting case for the number 4 seed in the college football playoff. To help their case, they need to start winning games like these with some style points. Hard to see the Aggies running away with this one, though. South Carolina has scored at least 24 points in each of its 5 games and should be able to move the ball against the Texas A&M secondary that ranks among the worst in the SEC. Isaiah Spiller and Aeneas Smith will do enough to lead the Aggies to victory, but it's going to be a close one. I 100% agree with you, MF. 34-27, A&M squeaks one out against South Carolina. We are one game away from our main event, but we have one other piece of business to get into before we get to the main event. The number 17 Iowa State Cyclones is another 7 o'clock kickoff, by the way. The number 17 Iowa State Cyclones back at home at Jack Trice Stadium, I should say. Jack Trice Stadium in Ames, Iowa. And this game will be over on FS1. And on that call, it will be Brian Custer and Robert Smith. They will have it. And Iowa State opening up as a 13.5-point favorite. So not much really to get into here, except that I got to go with Iowa State here. After going 11-1 during the 2019 season, it has been tough sledding for Baylor, especially in the ground game. In their last 3 games, all losses, the Bears have rushed for a total of 184 yards and 1 touchdown, while allowing 540 yards and 7 scores. Up next is an Iowa State team which has held 5 of 6 opponents below 120 rushing yards, and which has the nation's second leading rusher in Breece Hall, 150.2 yards a game. That's a lethal combination. Iowa State wins. Final score for me, 38-20, Iowa State all over Baylor. MF, your thoughts on this before we get to the main event?
Agreed. Iowa State again. I do believe that they'll win it. Let's set it up. Main event.
It has the feel of a game of the century, doesn't it? I mean, what else is there to say? Man, this is so exciting. 7:30 kickoff. We got 3 7:30 games, but this is the first one. It's a shame that this is not the main event because it really should be. But nonetheless, here we go. The number 1 Clemson Tigers squaring off against the number 4 Notre Dame Fighting Irish under the lights, Notre Dame Stadium, South Bend, Indiana, on NBC. Mike Tirico, Tony Dungy, the beautiful Catherine Tappan. They will all be there. Clemson, despite not having their star quarterback, they are still favored, but they're only favored to win by 5. It's a 5-point spread in favor of Clemson. So, MF, we know the story. It broke during halftime of one of the ABC games last week. Trevor Lawrence, because of the fact that he will not be able to clear all the COVID protocols in time, Trevor Lawrence is out. DJ Uiagalelei is in. They just barely got by Boston College, as you know. They had to rally from 18 down to win. So, and of course, Notre Dame, they have been chug-a-lugging along lately after what they've done to Pittsburgh and Georgia Tech the last 2 weeks. But nonetheless, though, even though Lawrence isn't playing in this, I still got to do the Jesse Ventura here. This is the main event. Brother, it don't get no bigger than this. This is what the words main event were meant for. MF, Notre Dame, I mean, if Trevor Lawrence was playing, no chance.
Yep.
Maybe a punter's chance. Maybe a punter's chance. But
no, because honestly,
realistic.
Honestly, I'm gonna say it. If Lawrence was in, it would look like the bowl game when Notre Dame and Clemson would have played. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but it would have turned out like that. You guys would have had no chance.
No chance.
However, this game
is realistic.
This battle and this moment, I'm going to say it. Notre Dame knocks off Clemson. Number one falls. And here's the reason why. The running game of the Fighting Irish. The running game of the Fighting Irish has been stout, averaging over 200 yards per game in the last 2 wins. That is going to give you a lot to work on and everything else. And then, of course, the defensive battle. Now, Clemson's defense is good, but they haven't really been proven yet. They haven't been tested. Where Notre Dame, and I'm going to be real honest, Notre Dame's been really good. They've had their moments, and they've stumbled. There's a couple of games where they should have lost, honestly. I think we all can agree that. 2 games.
The BC game.
The BC game, and I think there was another one, I think a couple of weeks ago, I know there was there was another game where they got tripped, where they should have been tripped up. They didn't play great.
Syracuse?
I think it was Syracuse. And that was another game where I was like, man, Notre Dame should have lost. They played horrible. There was no excuse for that game.
I thought you were talking about Clemson.
No, I'm talking about Notre Dame.
Louisville's the one they should have lost.
Yeah. So
and maybe even Duke.
And the Duke one was, because Duke earlier, they didn't look good in that one either. So without a doubt, those are the 2 crucial games. But like you said, last 2 games they've been dominating and they've been handling their business.
Absolutely.
Now they're gonna play the number 1 team in the nation
without their star.
That's a major problem. That's literally like you're playing the Kansas City Chiefs without Patrick Mahomes. That team is totally different. They are definitely different. They're not the same. If Lawrence is in there, it's over. I don't care who you are. Notre Dame, you don't stand a chance. Because of the fact that Lawrence is out. Now, unless this guy plays out of his mind, unless he has the game of his life and can channel some of that energy there's really nothing more to say. I'm sorry. Notre Dame pulls off the upset. They knock off number 1. Clemson falls to Notre Dame. Final score 35-31. I got the Fighting Irish knocking off Clemson, and this will be a major shakeup in college football. Nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Yes, sir. MF, I'm very curious. When was the last time Notre Dame Stadium hosted a game of this magnitude? Probably the Georgia game a few years ago. It's probably been that long since Notre Dame has had a high-profile game like this. But nonetheless, with Trevor Lawrence out, there's no denying this game just feels different. It's very likely a preview of the ACC championship game, but then again, it isn't, because it gives us little indication of what the best player in the country will be able to do against the Notre Dame defense come December 19th. DJ Uiagalelei was quite impressive against Boston College in his first time on the field with anything on the line. And with the possible exception of Louisville's Malik Cunningham, there's no question Uiagalelei is more talented than any quarterback Notre Dame has faced this season. Still, he is not Trevor Lawrence, not yet at least. And Travis Etienne is going to have a more difficult than usual time finding daylight against a Fighting Irish defense, allowing just 3.1 yards a carry. Which Clemson defense shows up, though? The one that immediately put Miami's offense in a body bag and that completely shut down Boston College in the second half? Or the one that allowed Virginia, Syracuse, and Boston College to hang around well into the third quarter of those games? If it's the latter, Notre Dame has more than enough offensive prowess, particularly in the ground game, to put a serious dent in Clemson's college football playoff resume. Keep an eye on the weather, too. This will be Clemson's first game of the season played north of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The forecast in South Bend currently calls for no precipitation and a high of 70 on Saturday, which would be more than fine with the Tigers. If things change and they're playing in poor conditions, it was 36 degrees and snowing on Sunday. That could be a huge advantage for Notre Dame. But I do agree with you, MF. We went from having a puncher's chance to a realistic chance. Notre Dame pulls off the upset. You know I'm going with them. 28-24. I think it's going to be a little lower scoring than you think, MF, but nonetheless, I got Notre Dame winning. And it'll be our biggest win in years. I can't remember the last time we won a game of this magnitude. So nothing more to say, guys. Let's just move on. We have a few games left. I think we have like 3 games left, I believe. So, excuse me. So, let's get into our next 7:30 game. The number 3, Ohio State Buckeyes at home, back home at Ohio Stadium in the Horseshoe. And they're going to be hosting the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. And this will be over on the Big Ten Network. So, and on the call for that one, for the Big Ten Network, it will be Brandon Gaudin with James Laurinaitis and Rick Pizzo. And Ohio State, you have to imagine they're a sizable favorite here because I don't have a spread on my list here. Maybe MF can get that for us in a moment. But there are 3 games in this tier. 2 of those 3 games should be sensational. And then there's this annual blowout in the Big Ten East. Rutgers had a fun little start to the season, forcing 7 turnovers in a road win over Michigan State. But the Scarlet Knights are going to get sliced and diced in the Horseshoe. In all 6 meetings since Rutgers joined the Big Ten, Ohio State has won by at least 35 points. This one might be a little bit closer than usual, but don't expect to be frantically flipping back and forth between the fourth quarters of this game and Clemson Notre Dame. Ohio State in a romp, 52-19. Ohio State all over Rutgers. So MF, Ohio State, they keep doing what they do. And Rutgers, well, in the immortal words of the late, great Denny Green, they are who we thought they were.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. I think they were just so amped up. It was the first game. They wanted it to make a statement. They knocked off Michigan State, made them do a whole bunch of mistakes, and then back to reality. And now you're playing against Ohio State. Yeah, good luck with that, boys. Ohio State wins, and they'll win it pretty handily. Nothing more to say. Florio, go.
Yeah, 2 games left, and I want to dedicate this next game to our dear friend Eric Carrier because it's his team. I know he's been chomping at the bits. I know he's been waiting a long time to see his beloved team here when it comes to college football. So, Eric, this one's for you, brother. Here we go. It's your team, man. Your number 12, Oregon Ducks, Pac-12. They're back. Autzen Stadium, Eugene, Oregon. And they're going to be hosting the Stanford Cardinal. ABC, Saturday night game of the week. You know who's working this. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Maria Taylor. Oregon opening up as a 7.5-point favorite. So there's nothing left for us to say except MF. I think we have some. Do we have some good news for Eric Carrier as his beloved Ducks open up?
Yes, I actually do. I believe that they are going to win this game. Look, whenever it's the first game, it's virtual unknown because you don't know how it's going to play out. But at the end of the day, I think Oregon will get the job done. I believe they'll win the game. So I don't know much about Stanford, what they bring to the table. With Oregon, they always like to fly really quick offensively. They are, they're back in the day, they used to just explode. And I think that's what they're going to try to do this time around. Quick start, try to jump out early. I don't think Stanford is a good team this year, so I don't know what we're going to get from them. Oregon already, what I hear is that they're a perennial power, that they're going to be one of the teams at the end in the Pac 12. So I'm going to go with Oregon to win the game, and they'll win this pretty handily. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah. Before the pandemic, Oregon seemed like it could be one of the 5 best teams in the country. That might still hold true, but it's going to be a lot tougher with star offensive tackle Penei Sewell and defensive backs Brady Breeze, Thomas Graham Jr., and Javon Holland all opting out of the season. Those personnel losses shouldn't make much of a difference against a Stanford team that lost its top running back and star tight end from an offense that averaged a paltry 21.7 points a game last season. But let's see how crisp the Ducks actually look after 10 months off. Oregon wins. My final score, 28-17. One game left, final game of the week. The number 15. Yes, they're number 15. Our new darling, if you will. The Coastal Carolina Chanticleers back at home at Brooks Stadium, and they're going to be hosting the South Alabama Jaguars. 8 o'clock kickoff, and this will be over on ESPN University. Courtney Lyle and Renee and Galia, they will have the call. And Coastal Carolina opening up as a 17.5-point favorite. So, MF, we climax it with our new darling of college football, Coastal Carolina.
Well, Anthony, I'll just say that with the last game of the day, I kind of feel like this is one of those situations where, uh, honestly, this could go a number of ways, but I think the most sensible is that this is Coastal Carolina. They're gonna win this one, and look, they're 6-0. They've played really good. I don't think there's any doubt here. And I'm just going to say it. South Alabama, my friends, good luck. It's going to be a long afternoon. But I will say this. They played a couple of years ago, and it was 31-28. And Coastal Carolina, and actually South Alabama stunned them. South Alabama beat them by 3 2 years ago. So, I mean, is it possible? Yeah, but Coastal Carolina is a lot different than what it was a couple of years ago. So, Coastal Carolina wins. Anthony, it's yours.
Coastal Carolina got a little bit of a scare 2 weeks ago while playing without starting quarterback Grayson McCall against Georgia Southern. With him back out there last week against Georgia State, though, the Chanticleers demolished the Panthers 51-0. And while South Alabama is 3-3, those 3 wins came against 1-5 Southern Miss, 1-7 Texas State, and 0-7 Louisiana Monroe. The Jaguars' rush defense has been quite bad against respectable opponents. As long as Coastal Carolina doesn't look past this one to upcoming games against Troy, Appalachian State, and Liberty, this should be a blowout. Coastal Carolina wins, no problem, 42-17. Coastal Carolina knocks off South Alabama. So with all that being said, that will put the bow on this very exciting and loaded edition of College Football Thursday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. Next week on this program, the slate may not be as exciting as this week, but we do have some good games to look forward to next week. How about Notre Dame against Boston College? A lot of history there. How about Miami squaring off against Virginia Tech? Big ACC matchup. Indiana against Michigan State. Coastal Carolina against Troy. Oregon against Washington State. Ohio State against Maryland. Texas A&M against Tennessee. Bama and LSU, although it doesn't have the same luster. But the game of the week comes from the Big Ten next week, Wisconsin and Michigan in the Big House next Saturday night. So that's what we can look forward to on this program next week. So, well, let's set the table for our upcoming content tomorrow night. MF will host Braves Fan 95, a very loaded and special edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. It's going to be a joint production of the Wrestling Forum and Strictly Sports, because we're going to review Friday Night SmackDown as usual. We're also going to preview the AEW Full Gear pay-per-view. And on top of that, we're going to have a rapid fire predictions of Week 9 in the NFL, which is headlined by the New Orleans Saints against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Some other great games to look forward to: Seattle against Buffalo. And, of course, our game of the week, the Baltimore Ravens against the Indianapolis Colts. So that and a whole lot more. And that'll be on Friday. We are not going to have a show on Saturday because Saturday is going to be a very big night. AEW Full Gear pay-per-view and Clemson Notre Dame. Those are going to go well into the night, and it'll be way too late to do a show. So that's why we're doing the NFL thing tomorrow night. And then Monday, we'll have Ridiculously Raw. Wednesday Night Mayhem. And that's where that's where we will review the Full Gear pay-per-view for AEW, as well as Dynamite and NXT as usual. This program next week and the whole 9 yards. So very exciting stuff, to say the very least. So that'll do it for this. So until tomorrow night for our very special Cerebral Smack Talk with MF over on Braves Fan 95, it's Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher. And in spirit, Michael Bullock, Dede Woodson, and always in forever, FKG 401, Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Friday. And until tomorrow night for that big Cerebral Smack Talk, keep it watching this very exciting and loaded Week 10 edition of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. And bye, everybody, bye.